Today, we're going to dive into a short but incredibly powerful poem that really challenges you from the very first line. It's all about confronting not just violence, but the, well, respectable words that are used to make it seem okay. Let's break this thing down.
Okay, listen to this first line. The first, before killing, always asks for a final wish because he is bound by a constitution. We'll get to the rest in a minute, but just that one sentence. It's designed to make you feel a little weird, right?
So how does that make you feel? There's this immediate sense of discomfort, and that's exactly what we're going to dig into, those raw, instant reactions that the poem is built to create.
Yeah, you might feel angry, confused, definitely uncomfortable. I mean, the word killing is shocking enough, but what's really unsettling is this idea that the killer has some kind of moral code, a justification. It makes you ask a really important question. Right off the bat, you just get this feeling these aren't your average bad guys. They feel bigger, almost symbolic. The poem is really pushing us to see them not as just three people, but as stand-ins for something much, much larger.
Now here's what's so clever about this poem. It's actually designed to mislead you. It sets these little traps for you as you read. And the thing is, your initial confusion isn't you getting it wrong. It's actually a crucial part of the whole experience. Let's go back to that first killer. He asks for a final wish. It sounds so procedural, doesn't it? Almost considerate? It's so easy to feel this weird, uncomfortable flicker of sympathy for him. And boom, that's the trap. The language of the law, mentioning the Constitution, it tricks us into maybe seeing state-sanctioned violence as somehow more acceptable.
And then you have the second killer. The poem says he first asks about caste, asks about religion, then kills, because he is a follower of a great culture. Again, listen to those words, great culture. It sounds so positive, right? So noble. It's the same kind of trap, using the language of heritage and tradition to put a mask on some really brutal identity-based violence.
Okay, so if our first instincts kind of lead us down the wrong path, how are we supposed to figure this thing out? Well, we need a totally different way of reading it. We have to stop focusing just on what the words literally mean and start paying attention to how they make us feel.
And this brings us to this fantastic idea from the literary analyst I.A. Richards, ambiguity. See, the poem's real power comes from using these words that have positive meanings, words like constitution or culture, and sticking them right next to the act of killing. It creates this incredible tension, this conflict between what the word should mean and how it actually feels in the poem.
So this is the most important part, right here. That feeling of confusion, of being uncomfortable, that's not you failing to understand the poem. That is the poem working on you. It's making you feel that way on purpose, to force you to ask, wait a minute, why are these respectable words being used to talk about something so violent?
All right, so now that we have this key, this idea of ambiguity, let's go back and really deconstruct what those three killers stand for. Because when you look at them this way, a much clearer and honestly, a much more disturbing picture starts to form.
So let's lay it out. The first killer, the one with the Constitution, that's the system of legal, state-backed violence all wrapped up in the language of law. The second, with his great culture, that's ideological violence, justified by tradition or religion. And the third killer? The poem says he asks nothing, just kills, because he believes in nothing, not caste, not religion, not constitution. That's just raw, arbitrary power that doesn't even need an excuse.
So you see, they aren't actually people at all. They're metaphors. They're figures of speech for the different ways that power operates in our world and justifies its own violence. The poem was never about three murderers. It's about three systems. But it's the ending that really ties it all together with a punch.
Let's read those final lines one more time. And when we resist the attacks of all three, we become a threat to the nation's internal security. This is the pivot. This is the moment the whole point of the poem becomes chillingly clear.
So after showing us how violence gets dressed up in the language of law, culture, and then just pure force, the poem reveals the ultimate weapon, language itself. It's about the power to take a good protective-sounding word like security and twist it to label the people who are resisting violence as the real threat.
So why did we just go through all of that? Why does that journey from being confused to having that aha moment matter so much? Because the experience of reading this poem is the lesson. It teaches us something absolutely vital about how to see the world around us.
What we just did together is basically a 4-step guide to critical reading. First, you have to face the stuff that's difficult. Second, you have to trust your gut reaction. That feeling is data. Third, you question the language, especially the words that sound good but feel wrong. And finally, you look for the bigger system that's hiding behind all those words.
When it comes down to it, this isn't really just about analyzing a poem. This whole thing is like a workout for your brain. It's an exercise that trains your emotions to become a tool that helps you question power, especially when it's trying to sound respectable.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. What words like security, culture, or order do we hear every single day and just accept? And what kinds of violence might they be hiding right there in plain sight? Something to chew on.